2. Hello, friends and enemies. Gather round. It is time for Perhaps It's You, your absolute favorite, unofficial, Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast. I'm Liz,
I'm Samantha.
and we just want to give our every episode shout out to BD Wong. Hi, BD Wong. I hope you're well, wherever you are, living your magnificent life.
Wherever he is, he's listening to this podcast. We know that.
Yeah, we know that much. We don't know the deets, the location, but we know he's with us in spirit, and we know that he's listening. So, hello. How are you today, Samantha?
Good. Tired.
Yeah, same.
You know,
Same.
like every day.
You're like, we do this. Why? Why is this my hobby? Well, man, I was listening to a new episode of the Purple Stuff podcast yesterday, which is all about their favorite things that are blue. And I was like, why is this not my podcast? I was so much like half the time we're on here, like, I don't want to talk about this. I would much rather be talking about my favorite things that happen to be blue than, you know, people being dead or missing.
That does sound so much more pleasant.
I know.
Blueberries, blue candy, blue birds. I mean, that's lovely.
I was immediately like, well, there's Bedtime Bear. There's a classic. There's tons of those gummy sharks.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Blue Skittles.
Oh yeah, those are good.
They are good, aren't they?
And in the 90s, everything was blue raspberry. And I'm actually not really a big fan, but I just kind of want to know why.
I've often wondered what is a blue raspberry because it doesn't taste like a raspberry. I'm not sure there's a such thing as a blue raspberry.
No.
It has its very own specific flavor.
I think they were just like, okay, we need a blue flavor because there's too many reds. So we're going with blue raspberry. And it's like, but it's not going to taste like raspberries though. It's just going to taste like, I don't know what.
It's
chemicals.
its own thing.
Yeah. I would like some answers. But yeah, we really should have done some sort of fun podcast.
We should have just done a candy podcast.
Oh my god,
candy companies to send us
what?
candy.
I'm gonna cry. Why did we do that?
Monetize snack hour is what we should have done.
I'm going to start sobbing. That could have been my life. We could have been candy reviewers. And we're doing this?
It's like those kids that make YouTube videos about toys and they just figured out how to get companies to send them tons of toys. And then like their college tuition is paid off.
Oh my god, we are fools.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very thankful for the time that Studio Crafty sent us all those Japanese Kit Kats and other people have sent us delicious snacks. But if we could have just hooked up right to the source, if we could have sold out and we were like, this is... Yeah,
I'll still sell out. I mean, if anyone's listening.
Listen to this snack hour brought to you by Japanese Kit Kats. Nom, 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 nom. Oh,
it's not too late. I mean,
I'm totally open.
Nestle
Get in
is
touch.
Listening or whatever.
I will take your blood money, Nestle. I will take it and I will spend it with glee. Sign it over. Is that not the way to get sponsors?
I don't think it is, but what do I know? We don't have sponsors.
Yeah,
so clearly I don't know what I'm doing.
I do think it's funny that people have mentioned before, like me bad mouthing Amazon and stuff is probably not a good way to get sponsors. And I'm always like, I'm not going to sell out before I get the money. I'm not going to be on my best behavior in like the hopes of money. Like, give me money and then you can like tell me what to do. But like, just for that idea, that dream, no.
Does Amazon sponsor podcasts? I mean,
I don't
maybe
think
an
so.
affiliated company or whatever. Maybe.
Or I think it just makes us, you know, seem anti-corporate or something.
Oh,
and
well,
people wouldn't want that.
But I
will absolutely take your money and then not bad. You want me to stop bad-mouthing your product? Pay me. I'm viable. I got bills. I want candy. Like, I'm very easily bribable.
I mean, maybe they have a point because it's not like the mattresses have started rolling in.
No, I think that's more to do with the fact that this podcast is not very popular. But people have told me, like, if you want sponsors, you probably shouldn't be bad mouthing so and so. It's like, yeah, but they don't pay me though, so
That's a good point.
I'm not selling out in advance. There's gotta be some transaction. I'm not just gonna sit here and hope. Oh man, I've been really good. Hope that pays off. I get some Dow Chemical money. No. Anyway, here I am, bitter as ever, ready to talk about Unsolved Mysteries. Though I liked this episode.
This was good.
So I don't even know why
one
I'm
of your
complaining.
favorite mysteries are in it.
Yeah. If people recall, ages ago, we had a Q&A episode and someone asked what mystery I was looking forward to. It's in this episode. It's the Resurrection Mary segment. So we finally got there. I have no other segments I'm looking forward to. No, that's not true. Mothman.
Yeah.
Is
Oh, yeah,
somewhere in the
Yeah.
distance. Mothman.
In like season 13 or something.
Well,
So
that's
whatever.
good. That'll give us something to hold on to. That'll give us a reason to keep going, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we're on season 6, so if it truly isn't, I made that up. I don't actually know when it is.
I
But
think
if
it is
truly
far
isn't
away.
in season 13, we've got a ways to go.
Are there even 13 seasons?
I don't know. I made that up. Something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we are on season
I don't
6.
know that much about this show we have a podcast about.
No, that person that was very mad at us said they may know about Unsolved Mysteries.
What that person
Which-
also didn't
no.
consider is that we're just not good at podcasting.
What they didn't consider is that Unsolved Mysteries is one of the many things we don't know anything about, like how to pronounce people's names or where cities are or, I don't know, basic math. Those are other things we don't know.
The difference is I don't have a podcast about basic math.
Oh, can you imagine?
No, that would be a nightmare.
But no, I would never have inflicted that on myself. Me just being like, I don't remember this at all. What?
I know I should be able to do this in my head, but I need to get out. I need to sneakily get my phone out and pretend to text, but I'm really using my calculator.
It's like I'm literally just Googling what is this, the division of this square root something. Particularly the kids do math different now, so
Ugh. Oh my god.
it's just that just makes me go, oh, okay, so math's not real. Got it. I understand. Also, I learned recently that there's a form of dyslexia called dyscalculia for numbers.
Oh.
And I went, oh, I'm pretty sure I have that. That makes a lot of sense.
It
I don't
does
know.
make a lot of sense.
I don't know that I get to just decide that about myself, but I kind of have. So if you too were terrible at math, hey, you have dyscalculia. It's all right. Cut yourself some slack.
Yeah.
Okay. We're on season 6, as Samantha said, episode 15. You can watch this on the old YouTubes. You don't need to bother Jeff Bezos about it at all. And what's nice about this episode is it's a little romantic.
Robert Stackett's real poetic, especially in the Resurrection Mary segment.
This is the Valentine's Day special of whatever year this was.
What does this have to do with Valentine's Day? I guess there's a love story.
There's a couple you get a couple love interests, and then they're just like, whatever, armored car robbery. They kind of give up, but they tried to make it more about love than a usual Unsolved Mysteries. And I appreciate
Valentine's Day even comes up after
it doesn't.
the first 2 seconds.
No, it doesn't.
I feel like I forgot this was a Valentine's Day episode until you just said that.
I don't think I would have remembered if I hadn't written it down, but God bless my notes. Okay, I get the first mystery, and this is the one I've been looking forward to. So this is in the Unexplained, and here is our opening waxing
monologue.
poetic from Stack. I'm just going to say right now, I give Stack a thumbs up for this episode. I know we've been a little hard on him lately. We've been saying, where is he? Is he drying out somewhere? Why is he barely in these episodes? But this one, I think he really came full force. It's a late moonless night. You're on a dark, lonely road.
This is a great Robert Stack voice.
The shadows seem to reach for you.
Ooh.
The sudden rustle of leaves makes you jump.
I have goosebumps.
Your heart beats faster and faster. You assume it's your imagination.
Oh, it's just my imagination.
Unless you're on the road to Resurrection Cemetery.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this is a very famous Chicago ghost story, which is why I was excited to talk about this. And the account we hear takes place in January 1979 when a cab driver found himself on a road on just such a night. He was about to experience something several Chicago cab drivers have experienced over the years. He was lost, and he offered a woman by the side of the road a free ride if she would point him in the right direction.
Okay. If this reenactment is to be believed, if this is how it really went down, that's clearly a ghost.
Well,
Okay, I expect cab drivers to be a little more savvy than this. He's like, "Excuse me, miss, I'm lost. Can you point me in the right direction?"
you're
And
just
you watching this are like, "That is clearly a ghost."
that woman is wearing all white. She's fucking glowing, like she has a light bulb
She's
inside
staring
her
straight ahead with dead eyes.
with like an almost like a fog
If that's
radiating
not a
from
ghost,
her.
not someone you want to mess
And
with.
she's doesn't appear to be speaking. She just like silently gets in the cab. Well, that's because nearby is Resurrection Cemetery, one of the largest in the Midwest, and Robert Stack refers to it as the final resting place of more than 150,000 souls.
What a name to name your cemetery, Resurrection Cemetery.
I mean,
I ain't going in
obviously,
there. That's
oh,
full of ghosts.
we're totally going there. I can't believe I've never been. And yeah,
No, you're
what
right.
a
I do want to go in there because I kind of want to see a ghost. But I feel like if you're gonna see a ghost, it's gonna be in Resurrection Cemetery.
I really appreciate them bringing the drama to this cemetery and then burying so many people in it. But I mean, obviously, if you name a cemetery that, you're going to get some ghost stories. So that's where this comes in.
Might as well call it Ghost Cemetery. I don't know.
Ghost Lab Cemetery. This is where we make the ghosts. So the woman asked him to stop in front of the cemetery's front gate, and then she vanished without opening the door. And that's when Robert Stack says the unwitting cab driver had just met Chicago's most famous ghost.
Who's gonna pay that fare?
See, that's the thing. This is like, if you're not on our Patreon, you didn't hear us discuss the tsunami ghost part of the Unsolved Mysteries reboot. But there were several accounts from cab drivers who picked up what they thought were passengers, drove them to somewhere, and then those people vanished. So then they couldn't get their fare. So then there was paperwork like recording the ride, and those drivers had to pay for it themselves.
All the cab drivers were paying these mystery fares because they didn't want to like admit that they had given rides to ghosts, but it was like a very interesting paper trail that sort of proved that something paranormal was going on. That's what this made me think of too. I wonder if he paid that fare.
Yeah. Well, Robert Stack does refer to this as the ghost story with the best documentation, and I wonder if that's why, because you can go back and look at these cab fares maybe. And witnesses who are described as reliable people are the witnesses, meaning they were people who haven't made other paranormal claims.
Okay, their reliability was also that they had jobs for some reason.
Okay.
Like people without jobs can't see ghosts. I don't really understand the connection.
Children can't see ghosts. The elderly can't see ghosts. People just on like summer break during college, no ghost seeing for you.
Can't see ghosts.
Yeah, tons of people being unemployed better not see a ghost.
Blue collar people with jobs, I believe, is what I don't forget this dude.
Those are the only people you can believe. People on
that's
strike.
Why he thought the cab driver was reliable because he had a job and he was blue collar.
Yeah, I don't know. It's silly. What was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So the earliest account of this is also not true, but we're just going with this segment here. The earliest account, according to Unsolved Mysteries, of Resurrection Mary came from Jerry Paulus. In 1986, when he was 72, he videotaped his story. So we get to see some footage of him sitting at a table and recounting this ghost story, and it was, caught on tape. That he had met Mary at a dance hall in 1939. And we see a reenactment of this that apparently, I don't know, he went to dance halls a lot. He thought he was a ladies' man, Robert Stack tells us. And he sees a woman that he hasn't seen there before and decides he's going to go ask her to dance. And she is described as being about 5'7" with blonde shoulder-length hair and wearing a fancy party dress.
I feel like I have some theories about about this story that he gives based on how it's presented in Unsolved Mysteries. And I'm not sure it has anything to do with paranormal, but go on.
Okay. So he learned little about Mary except her name and that she lived on the south side of town. In the reenactment, I don't know if he actually said this because we don't see it from his account. We just see it in the reenactment that he said that her hands were like ice, but to like make it more flirty, he was like, "So you must have a warm heart."
And this woman in the reenactment has no interest in
Yeah.
him
Yeah,
whatsoever.
no.
I don't know if this is Resurrection Mary's MO based on the two accounts we get, where she just stares straight ahead with dead eyes, completely uninterested, but
I mean, why do you think she's my favorite ghost, Samantha? She's just going around town blowing off dudes. Like, whatever. Couldn't
it
be
sort
less.
of seems like this is just someone who wasn't that interested in this dude, wanted a free ride home. He was a little disappointed because he was looking for something else.
Yeah, well, okay. So as Samantha said, he offers to give her a ride home. She agrees. But then she asks for a ride out to Archer Road, which is not by where she said that she lived. Then she asked him to stop in front of Resurrection Cemetery and told him to wait, but then literally like vanishes into thin air.
I think Robert Stack says this is not what he expected.
What's
I don't
weird?
think it was Robert Stack.
What's weird about the way Unsolved Mysteries tells this story is that he lets this woman out in front of a freaking cemetery. She gets out and is crossing the road, and like midway, the like middle point of the road just literally vanishes into dust. And this doesn't really like dissuade him from pursuing her romantically. The fact that he just saw her vanish before his eyes. So the next day, he goes to where she said she lived on South Damon Avenue and apparently was able to find the house easily. And the front door opened before he could knock. He asks for Mary and is told that no one by that name lives there. But then inside, he recognizes a picture of her. And he goes, "That's the woman I'm looking for, Mary." And the woman's like, "You can't have met my daughter last night. She died 5 years ago."
This is why being a woman is so fraught. This woman vanished into dust, and this dude is still not dissuaded. He's still showing up on her front door.
He's willing to introduce himself to her mother, and they've had a couple dances. This is what Robert Stack says. The revelation naturally cooled Jerry's romantic interest in the mysterious beauty.
The fact that she was dead for 5 years.
Also, we learned that this guy used to work at a funeral home, so he realizes the reason her hands were cold was it was the touch of a corpse.
No one else. Way he could have known that was.
No one else could have figured that out. So, this is believed to be the spirit of Mary Brigoni, who died in an auto accident in 1934, a month before her 21st birthday. Rumor is she was leaving a dance hall and was buried in her favorite gown. Her spirit has been seen countless times at dance clubs, in taxis, and in strolling down Archer Avenue. Now we get another firsthand account. This is from Claire Rudnicki and her husband Mark. In 1980, them and two friends were driving along Archer Avenue when Claire saw a woman walking along the side of the road, except that she was bright white, like illuminating. What's interesting about this account is that everyone in the car saw it. I think Claire saw it first, but the other people saw it too, and her husband wanted another look. So he swings around the car. He like drives around the block. He swings around the car around, so they're coming from the other direction, and they see where her face should be is just a black void with no facial features.
It's frightening to think about. Not such a frightening reenactment.
Not such a frightening reenactment, but it's very cool to me that we don't hear from their two friends, but at least from Mark and Claire, like they both saw that and were like, "What the fuck?"
Oh yeah, and she was terrified. She did not want to turn around at all.
She didn't want to turn around, and he was like, "No, I have to get another look." And he apparently like still wants to see the ghost again. Like he would like to go.
He frequently drives past there and thinks about seeing her again.
He's like trying to see her again, and she's like, "I never want to see it again. It's too terrifying." So we have another account, which is from October of 1989. Janet Kalal and her friend were out for an evening drive. After about an hour, I think they were just like driving nowhere in particular, they found themselves on by Resurrection Cemetery when a woman in all white all of a sudden just walked in front of their car. So she's convinced that she just hit a woman with her car. However, there was no sound, there was no impact, and when they got out, there was nothing there. So there are dozens of these eyewitness accounts spanning several decades. And then Mark Renucki tells us, I didn't believe in ghosts until I saw her. And the way you know it's really a ghost is you just know.
You just know.
You just know. So that's pretty much the end of the segment. Robert Stack tells us to think twice about offering her a ride. Which I don't know why. Nothing bad happened to anybody.
Ghost needs a ride.
Yeah, that cemetery is huge. She probably keeps getting dropped off at the wrong gate. 150,000 graves? She just needs a lift.
Yeah,
okay.
Cut her some slack.
But last week, Samantha and I were watching a tour by Adam Seltzer, who runs Mysterious Chicago, and he does a bunch of cool tours. I really recommend them. You can just watch them on Facebook and then donate. But he did a ghost tour for Chicago, and he talked about this story. And apparently, this cannot be the spirit of Mary Bergoni, because this hitchhiker ghost story was already going around like 3 years before she died. And the other problem is this description of this woman with long blonde hair is not how Mary Bergoni looked.
Yeah, she had brown, like super dark hair.
Yeah.
We saw a picture of her in the tour.
It's like, oh, that's not her. So there's lots of accounts of this hitchhiker ghost by Resurrection Cemetery, but it doesn't seem like it is Mary Bergoni. I also was informed by someone in our Facebook group that Astonishing Legends has like a 7-hour thing about Resurrection Mary. So
wow.
Clearly there's a lot more information out there. Maybe I'll learn some more and get back to you. But I do think it's just a cool little ghost story. And she seems harmless. Just give her a ride.
It's a fun ghost story.
She's
honestly.
got places to be.
I enjoy it. I love these ghost stories where it's apparently a common occurrence for ghosts to just flag down cabs.
Yeah, I wonder if they hate Ubers.
I was just thinking about that.
They're like, I don't have a phone. I can't call a Lyft. I need to be able to flag something down with my ghost arm. Otherwise, they're just going to start just like appearing in the lift. Like, oh, I didn't see you get in. Yeah. Do ghosts ever ride the bus? There's a question. If you know, let me know if you've ever heard a ghost story about a ghost on the bus.
I sometimes wonder, like, what modern ghosts are up to. Like, a more modern ghost might call an Uber, don't you think?
Maybe.
And you show up and this dead-eyed woman is standing there, vanishes halfway through.
She's got that pink baby fat razor flip phone. She's in a juicy tracksuit. She's like, please take me to the beauty parlor. I'm getting a pedicure.
Vanishes halfway through.
Vanishes. Yeah.
Never leaves a rating.
Ugh, never tips. That's the thing about ghosts. Terrible tippers.
Well, they don't have the ghost money, doesn't.
I know, that's the problem. It doesn't really transfer between worlds.
It's not that they don't want to. They just can't. Maybe
bad.
That's why they bounce. They're just too embarrassed. They don't want to get there and
gotta
have to
go.
admit they can't pay you with their ghost dollars.
I'm out of here. Yeah, I would like to hear some stories about some more modern ghosts.
Yeah.
That are, I don't know. They like fell off one of those hoverboards. So they're like
their Android phone blew up.
They're hoverboarding for all eternity. Yeah. They like put an Android phone in a microwave to see what would happen. Now they're ghosts.
Now they're a ghost.
Stuff like that. I don't know.
If you've got one, send us your paranormal story.
Yeah, perhaps it's you podcast at gmail.com. We'll take any paranormal story that's happened to you. But if you happen to have heard a story that hasn't happened to you about a ghost riding the bus or a ghost that's a more modern day ghost that is stuck doing Dance Dance Revolution for all eternity. That would
be a true hell.
That ghost did some fucked up stuff in their life. Stuck doing that forever. Oh, man. What if we die podcasting? What if we're podcasting ghosts, Samantha?
Podcasting ghosts.
We
At
die.
this point, there's gonna be podcasting ghosts.
We're gonna die in a tragic podcasting accident, and
Hmm.
then we're stuck.
Finally plug the wrong cord into that mixer.
Yeah, and it just explodes.
To die in
Oh,
a tragic
no.
podcasting
We're-
accident
we're
sounds
flat.
terrible.
We're flagging down cars trying to get to the podcast festival. Or just to the Mothman Festival. We're just trying to get to the Mothman Festival.
Look,
You
if
gotta
you're
help us.
driving down the streets of West Virginia someday
Mm.
and you see two women glowing on the side of the road with a giant inflatable alien, just keep on driving.
No!
Liz and I,
Give our ghosts a ride.
we're on our way to the Mothman Festival, trying to see that booty in the afterlife.
We didn't get to see it in life, so
No.
we have some unfinished business on this earthly plane. And it's to see the Mothman statue. I can't move on until that's happened.
That's our curse. We're cursed to walk the earth until we see the Mothman statue.
That is sad.
It is sad.
That's real
I hope we don't
sad.
die.
Okay. Move on to your sad tale.
Moving on to this sad mystery next. This is a missing person. I think. Or is it a lost love? I think it's a missing person.
It's a missing person, but...
So Robert Stack starts out this segment by telling us that as a rule, they do not profile cases of adult children who choose to separate from their friends and family, which I didn't know about. I didn't know about this rule, but I'm happy that they had it because,
rightly
yeah,
so.
leave these people alone. Like, their friends and family might want to find them. If they don't want to be found, that's, we're not
You
gonna
can't
help with
just
that.
call Unsolved Mysteries and be like, my 30-year-old grandchild never calls me. They're like, that's not a mystery.
That's not our problem. They don't want to talk to you. That's
Yeah.
their choice.
Mystery solved. No one likes you. The end. But they had to make a sort of an exception for this. This case is a little bit different.
Yeah, Robert Stack says that this one is special. So Selena Eden was president of the student body in the senior class when she graduated from high school in 1980. She later left college to join the Air Force. After that, she became a construction worker. She joined the Teamsters and bought a motorcycle. She was really living her best life.
She seems very cool.
Extremely cool.
Too cool to hang out with us. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
had that same thought.
This woman is too cool to be my friend.
I had that same thought. Her photo that they show at Unsolved Mysteries, she has a sweet acid wash jacket.
Yeah.
Some awesome earrings. Yeah, she was living a great life.
Riding around on motorcycles. I don't know. It just seems cool.
Extremely. So on the night of November 29th, 1989, she was riding home from the Union Hall in San Francisco, California, when she suffered a serious accident on her motorcycle. She was in a coma for 6 weeks.
Ugh.
For 7 days, she remained in the hospital as a Jane Doe because her identification papers were lost in the accident, and it took that long for the hospital to find her family. When she finally regained consciousness, she had brain damage, a damaged left eye, a crushed left thigh, and painful headaches. She had also lost a great amount of her memory. She worked through rehabilitation quickly, though, and was released after 2 months, which seems like lightning fast.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Considering the injuries she sustained. She moved back to San Diego to live with her mother and niece, who planned to help her through more rehabilitation. At this point, she was suffering from headaches that caused periods of confusion and frustration. And although she was getting better physically, her mental health was deteriorating. According to her mother, on several occasions, she would be talking on the phone, and after hanging up, she would be unable to recall who she was just talking to.
Yeah.
So Selena eventually returned home to San Francisco in May of 1990. Her family hoped that the familiar surroundings would help her regain some of her memory. Her friend Lori noted that she was happy to be home. However, Lori also felt that she needed more help than she was receiving once she moved back.
I think if the problem is she's an adult, she is used to being a very independent person.
Yes.
She's, recovered to the degree to which she could be let out of the hospital. So it seems like she made a pretty quick recovery. However, it's not a total recovery, and healing is not like a straight line upward. And I think she would get frustrated, but also wasn't super comfortable receiving the help that she probably needed,
Yeah.
which is understandable.
Completely. Absolutely. So despite her memory problems, Selena would call her mother regularly and they spoke often. In October 1990, she told her mother that she was going to be going away for a while, and she said that she was going with a person who would be taking care of her. She also said that she would be calling back soon, but she never did. And her mother
Mm.
was immediately like, "What are you talking about? Who is this person?" And she didn't provide any details. Her
She was
friend,
like, taking care of you. I'm your mom. I can do that. Like,
yeah.
what? What are
Yeah,
you
this
talking
sounds
about?
sketchy. Her friend Tracy said that she last heard from her around the same time. She had told Tracy that she was moving to the Midwest with the woman she had just met, but she did not give her name.
I like how dismissive this woman was of the idea. She was moving to the Midwest. Like,
it, it seemed
things
extremely out of character.
things were like she couldn't even remember what city because her mind just like lumped it into like nowhere.
Yeah,
She's moving to nowhere and I am worried about her.
yes. And after not hearing from Selena for several months, her family hired a private detective to look for her. He found several people who had seen her in San Francisco. Despite the few sightings, though, he was never able to locate Selena. Her family is unsure if she met with foul play or if she wandered off unaware of her identity. If her memory, the issue she was having with her memory got worse, they have no idea what happened to her. The last time Selena was heard from was on December 31st, 1991, when she left a confusing message on Lori's answering machine.
Mm,
Unfortunately, I don't believe this is. I'm checking the Unsolved Mysteries wiki. I think this is unsolved. So, all Unsolved Mysteries wiki says about it is that there are conflicting reports as to when Selena was last, when she last spoke to her mother. It could have been in 1990. Other reports say 1991. I don't know. Another report states that she was last seen at a hospital in San Francisco on October 28th, 1991, but this is unsolved. Unsolved Mysteries Wiki says, sadly, 3 of Selena's sisters have since passed away.
ugh,
In her sister Nada's obituary, Selena is listed as surviving her. However, it is not known if she was ever located.
that's
So
so sad.
I guess Unsolved Mysteries takes a little optimistic view of it. That,
Yeah.
maybe they found her and just never reported it
I
to
don't
anyone, but
know.
I sort of think they didn't. And that's really sad.
I'm surprised this isn't considered an amnesia case because this is more believably than many could be. She just doesn't remember.
Right.
She just doesn't remember who to contact.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
I hope she's okay. I hope she's living a great life in the tropics somewhere, just drinking a margarita. Not really. She just has a pesky feeling she should call someone, but she's not sure who. And then goes, what? I'm going to take another nap, eat another mango.
I hope that's the life Selena led.
I
It's
know.
the life she deserved. Although
Ugh.
I'm sad she probably never
Her mom
reconnected with
clearly
her
loved
family.
her so much and just wanted to know she was okay.
Yeah.
Horrible. Okay, now we have a kind of interesting one. This one's a wanted. Robert Stack starts off by saying, "It's hard to imagine what 7 million in cash would look like." And I agree. Robert Stack's probably seen it. It's like not that hard for him to imagine, but me, no. But in 1983, one man managed to steal that astonishing sum, and he refers to it as one of the greatest heists in U.S. history. The key figure was a quote brazen 25-year-old armored car guard, Victor Manuel Guerra, once and a trusted employee of the Wells Fargo Express Company. On September 12th, 1983, Victor arrived at work and made a special request. That was the only thing that was out of the ordinary. He'd been working there for a few years. He asked if he could park his car by Bay 5. He said it was a friend's car and he didn't want anything to happen to it, and his supervisor reluctantly agreed. That day, he did his usual rounds, collecting more than $3 million from local banks and businesses with another coworker. The two of them would drive and collect these amounts. The Wells Fargo vaults already held more than $4 million. By that evening, it was only Victor, his coworker, and his supervisor on site with all of the cash. It was easy enough for him to draw a gun on both of them. At least in the reenactment, at first they're like, Victor, what are you doing? Like, they don't believe that he's robbing them because they've known him for years at this point. It's just like another day at work for them. But no, he really was robbing them. He handcuffed both of them with their hands behind their back, taped their mouths shut, and also taped their ankles together so they couldn't use their feet. He then put jackets over both of their heads so they couldn't see. He also gave them a shot of something, saying that it would put them to sleep, but it didn't work, and they were actually awake the whole time. They never figured out what it is that he shot them up with.
So weird.
Yeah, it's like some, I don't know, sleep cocktail that ended up not working. He then started to load up his car with the cash. It took him almost an hour and a half to move it because it's like 1,000 pounds of money in both marked and unmarked bills. It is believed that he then honked the horn to let someone outside know he was done, opening the bay door and letting them drive the getaway car, or drive the car away with all the money. His coworkers heard him load a shotgun, which was probably a really terrifying moment, but then he left. Eventually, his coworker and his supervisor were able to get free, and they called the police. 18 hours later, the car was found abandoned about 8 miles away. Obviously, all of the cash was gone.
Oh, they didn't leave that behind.
Yeah. I think we did watch one about an armored car robbery where they, like, clearly were like, we couldn't be bothered to, like, pick up all the money, but then that was, like, a huge amount was still left.
I remember in that mystery specifically, they talked about how heavy money was and how
They were just like,
weren't
ugh.
expecting the money to be that heavy.
Well,
Which I would probably make that mistake.
Just
That's something
leave-
I would do if I was robbing. I'd be like, oh, I didn't realize how heavy $1 million is.
Okay, everyone, if you're going to rob a bunch of money, bring a dolly because your back can't take as much as you think, all right? And you're getting older.
Bring
and
a little wagon, one of those
money's
red flyers.
heavy. Yeah, so
Wheel that money out of there. You don't
learn
want to
from
throw
these
your back
mistakes. Yeah, you throwing your back out and just moaning on the floor of the bank is a really easy way to get caught. Just going, ugh.
You're going to be called fumbles.
Yeah, or worse.
You do that.
I've been watching this ridiculous show Banshee lately, which is like a completely over the top crime show. It has like no basis in reality whatsoever. It should just be called Cliche, the show. But what's very funny to me is the guy who's the sheriff or whatever. He gets into these like outrageous fights every single episode. And so Mac and I just keep joking that what you don't see in between episodes is the 6 months of rehab that he must have to go through because like the fights are so long and involve so, like it would just be so hard on your body. There is no way you would just get up and like go be sheriff again and actually get into another horrible fight the very next day. There's no way. Eventually that guy's gonna throw his back out. Anyway, now we get a little twist about Victor and his stolen money. Robert Stack tells us that this was orchestrated by a Puerto Rican terrorist group. Didn't see that coming. So you could maybe look at them as freedom fighters or terrorists, depending on how you look at it. He was part of the Los Macheteros. Oh, I'm sorry for how long I said that. I really am. Anyway, it's like means machete wielders or people with machetes or whatever who fight for the independence of Puerto Rico. One example of this was in the 50s. There was an assassination attempt on President Truman. Supposedly, the money from this robbery was used to purchase a surface-to-air missile from an arms dealer that was launched at the FBI headquarters in San Juan in Puerto Rico on October 30th, 1983. However, apparently this is not the sort of weapon you should use against a building because it did very little damage.
It chipped the side.
Yeah,
they have to zoom in really close to see the damage.
I mean, it sounds good, like a missile.
It's
right?
not a mistake I would make. Yeah, surface-to-air missile sounds like that'll work.
That'll blow up a building. No, it barely did. It barely did anything.
Not.
And then some people were arrested. So at that time, Victor was he was not one of the people arrested. He was put on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. And there was a $1 million reward being offered for his capture. Let's take a look at what Unsolved Mysteries Wiki has to say. Still wanted. Several other members of the group Los Machiteros have since been arrested in connection with the robbery, including two of his brothers. Someone, I don't even think we really learned about them in this segment, but there's a Filiberto Rios that was in connection with Victor. He was killed in an FBI shootout. Victor is the last fugitive of the Wells Fargo heist that is still at large. He was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list from 1984 until 2016. $1 million reward is still being offered in his case. FBI agents believe he is hiding somewhere in Cuba.
Okay.
Well, that money was stolen and apparently spent on missiles that didn't really work.
Seems like a waste.
Bad purchase.
Yeah. We've all been there, though.
Yeah, they can't all work.
Yeah, can't return everything.
Live and learn.
Okay, now we have a really sweet lost love.
Yes, it is. I literally wrote down, this is the sweetest.
It's extremely sweet. So, South Vietnamese pilot Soon Ban Nguyen is searching for his daughter Kimberly Karen, whom he has not seen in 20 years. In May 1968, he arrived at England Air Force Base in Alexandria, Louisiana, for jet pilot training. He was scheduled to remain in the United States for 7 months. During this time, he met the Gautier family, and they became very close. They had a son in Vietnam, so they felt that this connection with Soon. During this period, he also began dating their daughter, Gwendolyn, who was the same age. In December 1968, Soon completed his final day of training in the United States and was sent back to Vietnam. Gwen wanted him to stay with her, and they have a very sad parting reenactment in the segment. But of course, he had no choice. Within weeks, he was flying combat missions in Vietnam. He received many letters from Gwen that brightened his day every time he received them, but one in particular surprised him. It was a letter in which she told him that she was pregnant. Soon was overjoyed to learn that he was going to be a father, and it sort of gave him something to look forward to, because obviously it's bleak fighting in a war. On August 28th, 1969, their daughter Kimberly Karen was born. Unfortunately, though, years passed, and Soon was unable to visit Kimberly. He finally got to return to the United States to see her in June 1974, when he was sent back to England Air Force Base. At this point, Gwen's parents were divorced, and her mother was living on her own in a mobile home. Soon was apprehensive about stopping by to see her, but when he did, she was overjoyed to see him. However, she told him that Gwen had married someone else and moved to Houston. She was, though, able to arrange for him to meet Kimberly. Gwen returned to the area and stayed there for several weeks. During this point, he spent all his free time with his daughter. There was a really sweet reenactment with them on the swing set where she calls him dad.
Yeah.
How do you know that I'm your dad? And she's like, well, we look like each other. Of course you're my dad.
She's like, look, Pops, I figured it out.
It's really cute. However, then in July, Soon had to return to Vietnam, and at this point, Gwen took her daughter back to Houston. The next day, he returned to Vietnam, but within a year, Saigon fell, and Soon was incarcerated in a re-education camp like many others. In 1984, he was released, and 2 years later, he married and had 2 children with his wife. In 1993, him and his family emigrated to the United States, and where they are searching for his daughter, Kimberly. The best part about this segment is that it's solved. Our favorite part about any lost love.
Yay!
An adorable reunion. So on the night of the broadcast, several of Kimberly's friends and family called the telecenter to say that she was living in Pineville, Louisiana. Over the years, she had searched for Soon many times, but of course was unable to locate him. So finally, after 20 years, they were put in contact with each other, and a few days later, they were reunited. They celebrated the reunion with more than 20 of her relatives, including Gwen. And the reunion is filmed, which I love. It's so sweet. They're all so happy. Soon says it's a dream come true. It's just great. It's lovely. I enjoy a lost love.
I mean, they really had no reason to think they would see him again. Like, he went to a war and then they couldn't hear from him from a very long time. So I'm sure they had sort of given up hope that this reunion was ever going to be possible. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I wish we have more information, but I'm just gonna assume that they
get together once a year. They have a big family reunion. They eat a bunch of crawfish. They have a great time.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I assume everyone in Louisiana does. Is that incorrect? I'm just going with that. Is that the end?
It's
So the
the
last
end.
one. Wow, that seemed quick. Okay. Let's rate our various categories of interest.
Okay, the first one is mysteriousness.
Actually not that mysterious. I guess I do kind of want to learn more about Resurrection Mary, who's apparently not Mary Bergoni, but
Other than
Victor
that, well,
Bada
I guess
Missile. Oh,
Selena
but
has never
we
seen him
don't know what
again,
happened to Selena.
so that's mysterious.
Yeah.
It's pretty mysterious, I guess. Half the episode is mysterious.
Okay, fine. Thumbs up. You talked me into it. What's
Reenactments?
Okay, so some of those ghost reenactments were not great, but they're kind of fun.
They were limited by bad CGI. Other than I guess we could cut them some slack.
Fine. And I do like seeing the like 30s dance hall, and
I love how forgiving we are of an episode that we like. Like,
I
didn't have good
guess.
CGI. It's fine. If we hated this episode, it'd be
like, this is the worst.
terrible.
It's an assault on my eyeballs. I've lost the will to live.
Look, we're fickle.
It's our podcast. We can be as fickle as we want.
It's true. I think the reenactments were fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Thumbs up, I guess.
I don't know that anything really stood out, but they were okay. Fashion?
I actually thought some fashion from Your Lost Love was great. There was particularly a pink outfit that her mom was wearing when like she finally got to meet her dad that I thought was really cute.
Oh yeah, that was
retro
good.
number. Plus we get Resurrection Mary wandering around in a white glowing dress. You don't always get dresses that can create their own light.
That's true, but I don't know what they were calling a period gown. Kind of just looked like a nightgown.
That's true too.
I'm not sure that it really looked like a party dress from the 1930s or whatever, but fine. Wow. It glowed.
Wow. Samantha is so picky, everyone. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. They told us that it was a party dress from the 30s, and you were just supposed to go, okay, I guess so.
But ghosts wear nightgowns, though. I mean, that adds to the spooky factor, so I guess I can cut them some slack.
They wanted her to look like a woman running away from a scary house on like a gothic paperback cover where it's just a woman like running into the wind. Oh no! You know that look? So many book covers. All of them great.
It adds a bit of spookiness, I guess.
Yeah. I'm still going to say thumbs up.
I'll give it a thumbs up for fashion. Robert Stack gets a
thumbs up.
For sure.
Thumbs up. He finally ended his vacation and came in and gave it his all. This is quality Stack, I'd say. Really waxes poetic. And I don't know, maybe he hates talking about the orphan train too. Maybe sometimes he's just like, I don't want to do this. This is sad.
I do get it.
I mean, we would have to get it. It'd be pretty hypocritical if we did it. So, but this is just Stack, pure Stack.
So what speaking of Stack, how would we rate this? How many Robert Stacks?
I'm gonna say 4. I would give this 4 Robert Stacks out of 5 Robert Stacks.
Okay.
Because
The Lost Love is really good. Resurrection Mary is really good.
It's not 5,
but it is a good episode.
I did not see the twist that Victor stole that money for political reasons. So that made the armored car theft a little different than ones we've had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Your missing person is super duper sad, and I kind of wish that wasn't in there. So it's not the best of the best, but I think it's pretty solid.
I agree.
It's a pretty good episode. I would give it a 4. I would watch the Resurrection Mary segment again for sure.
Well, that's it. That's a wrap. Season 6, episode 15.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you never. Let's get out of here.
We have to recommend something.
Oh, yes. I did.
Have a recommendation? Did you think of something?
Samantha knows that earlier today I was like, crap, I got to think of a recommendation. But I did. And so my recommendation is that if you are still on the old Facebooks, there's really only one reason to be on Facebook anymore, and that's to be in our Facebook group. We have a couple. But if you're already doing that, then I recommend looking for a local buy nothing group for your area. friend of the pod, Cara, recently recommended this to me because I have some junk I want to get rid of. Just, decluttering around the house. And while I shop at the Goodwill, I don't feel so inclined to also give them their inventory. Like, me shopping there is plenty. I don't need to actually provide the things that they sell. I'm not very enamored with their business practices. So I had this junk, want to get rid of it. Cara told me that I should look for a buy nothing group for my neighborhood. And so I joined a few days ago, and it's great. I literally post a picture and a little description of something I want to get rid of, and then someone just comes and gets it. It's like a miracle.
Have you found any good finds yourself?
I've gotten some plants for my yard. So someone, their side yard has been completely taken over by ferns, and they were like, "Please come, everyone."
They don't want their yard to look like Jurassic Park.
I don't know why not, but apparently not. So they were like, "Please come dig up some ferns." So I went and got some ferns. You can also, and at least there's probably different rules for each group. In my group, you are allowed to ask for things if you needed to borrow a wheelbarrow or I don't know, whatever. You're
That's
like,
handy.
does anybody have a mixer they're not using? I don't know. You could do something like that. So I, it's that time of year doing some stuff for the yard. I just asked if anybody had any hostas. Before I would go buy them. And all these people were like, never buy hostas. Just come get some out of my yard. Which is also
It's
amazing.
kind of true. You really don't ever need to buy hostas. But you also need to know who to ask. So this is helpful.
It's like, no, you don't buy hostas. Literally stranger, just come to my house and dig some up. Okay. I think it's very handy and fun and kind of friendly. And I like this idea that maybe we'll just like sort everything back and forth. No one will need to buy anything. Because you'll just keep going, does anyone have an extra ice cream scoop? And then someone will be like, yeah, sure. There you go. And that's the way all of goods could be sorted. I don't know. It's a nice little neighborly thing to do. I do feel like it might work better for homes than apartments. But, be creative. I'm sure you can make it work in an apartment too.
And then you don't have to be on Nextdoor, which is just a cesspool of the internet.
Yeah, I can't compare it because I've never actually been on Nextdoor, but I've heard tale. No, thank you. At least this group for my neighborhood, very friendly. And it's also not necessarily first come first serve. If there's stuff a lot of people are interested in, people will do like a little, basically like a giveaway. They'll like let people say that they're interested and then draw a name.
Okay, that's a fair way to do it.
Yeah, I guess. So that's my recommendation. If you need something. Or you're just like, oh my God, I've been in my house for the past year and I cannot stand looking at my, I don't know, framed Space Jam poster anymore. You could put that, someone will come and probably get that like later that day.
You don't even mail that to us.
I don't want it. You mail it to Samantha.
I guess I don't have that fond of memories of Space Jam, to be honest.
I'm not the right age to be a Space Jam person. Yeah, send all your posters of Lola Bunny to Samantha, care of the address on our website. That's perhapsitsyou.com.
Let's go into your house.
Look under
You're gonna get that.
Send all your Michael Jordan life-size cutouts to that address, please. Yeah, and if anybody else has like a story of a cool thing that you got, you should tell us about it in the Facebook group. Samantha, did you come up with a recommendation this week?
I have kind of a lame recommendation, but it is a new thing I've tried recently that I enjoy, and it's a sunscreen.
Oh, I've recommended a sunscreen before. Go ahead.
So this isn't a sunscreen that's going to be like a wear under your makeup type of sunscreen. This is for gardening or going to the beach. It's a serious sunscreen. And I found it because I was looking for a sunscreen to wear while I'm doing yard work and working in the garden. So I Googled something like best outdoor sunscreen or something because sunscreens just suck. I don't know. There's nothing good about wearing sunscreens except that it protects you from the sun. It always runs in your eyes. You always have to reapply it. Always feels greasy. But this one actually has some things about it that I think make it a cut above the rest. So I found this article that was a bunch of lifeguards suggesting their favorite sunscreens. Immediately, this is what I want. I want a lifeguard's recommendation for a
Okay.
sunscreen.
Okay.
They know what's up. And I ended up buying Ocean Potion. I found it on Amazon. I got the SPF 50. It calls itself the scent of sunshine. So it is scented. So if you're sensitive to fragrances, that's something to be aware of. I really like the scent. I think it smells really good.
Does it have that kind of tropical sunblock
Tropical.
smell?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a bit
I like
floral,
that.
like tropical flower kind of smell, I think. It
I like
doesn't
that.
I can't really pinpoint exactly what the smell is, but it smells good. This is it calls itself reef friendly, paraben free, I think it's gluten free, antioxidant enriched. I don't know. All I know is that I put it on my face. I really liked it. It didn't feel greasy. It didn't give me like a white cast. Not that I really care about that when I'm working outside. I did have to reapply it. We're at this last weekend. I was helping my mom all day in her yard, and it worked really well. I really liked it. I put it on. I reapplied it once, but I liked it. It didn't make me break out. It didn't give me some sunscreens like I always want to use like the Neutrogena ones, and I have really bad luck with that with those
I think
sunscreens.
Neutrogena sunscreen is terrible.
Yeah, I don't like it. And then I've tried other like sport sunscreens, waterproof sunscreens, and I have a really hard time with all of them. They either get all greasy and runny, or they run in my eyes and sting my eyes. This one I put on my face, worked really well. Put it on my arms, my neck, worked really good. If you're looking for a sunscreen for like actually being outside, again, you're not going to want to put your makeup over this, but if you are going to be out and you need to protect yourself from the sun as you should, I like this one, Ocean Potion.
Well, I know you need sunscreen because you are as pale as a ghost.
People might mistake me when we're at Resurrection Cemetery. Don't
People
be
could be,
surprised
it's
if
her!
someone stops and starts taking pictures, because I am I have porcelain white skin. I don't handle the sun very well. I get sun sickness if I'm in it too long, probably because I just have no protection, no natural protection from the sun whatsoever. So sunscreen is something I need to apply liberally. So
Something I always wonder about white supremacists is that's what
why
you're
they think that we are like the
Yes!
the supreme race. We can't even be in the sun for
we
5
cannot
minutes.
even stand outside. How can you think your skin is superior? It's literally inferior.
My skin is extremely inferior in a number of ways.
We can't even stand in the sun, neo-Nazis. You're clearly wrong.
It's so true.
It's perhaps not the biggest flaw in their logic, but it's something that always comes to mind for me. Like, surely you're overcompensating because you realize that we are a genetic mutation that actually makes your life worse.
It's true. It's true.
And now we have to buy sunscreen for the rest of our lives. That makes sense.
Yep,
Anyway.
they're never quite good, but you have to wear it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a big fan of, maybe I've said this on the podcast, of SPF clothing. Or I think it's when it's clothing, it's UPF maybe. Like basically like long sleeve swimsuits, like what you put on babies, but for adults. I only discovered this late as an adult, and I kind of don't know why I didn't always wear just long sleeve shirts.
I'm not
on the
sure
beach.
that was such a thing before.
I don't think it was, and I'm not sure that it still is a thing, but I highly recommend. Just dress me like a giant toddler if I have to go to the beach. Big sun hat, long sleeve shirt, long pants.
I will thank conservative people for only one thing, and that is more modest swimwear, which I do appreciate. I can't do water aerobics right now because I don't know, there's a pandemic or something. But usually when I would go to water aerobics, I would wear swim leggings, and it was just like so much more comfortable, so much more like, I don't know. Nobody needs to be like looking at my ass while I'm doing water aerobics. I'm also hanging out with a bunch of old people. I don't know. It's weird.
You're not going to show up to water aerobics in a bikini?
Like, hey, everybody. No. Ready to party. And everybody else is like 70 years old. No. So, yeah, I'm for the more coverage when you're swimming or just, I guess, outside at all. Because
and then you don't have to put on sunscreen on your arms. You can limit the sunscreen to just a few areas, and you're not just covered in grease.
Because also, I am also as pale as a ghost, and my skin might just catch on fire like that guy in Indiana Jones. That could be me. I did also see someone tweet that we don't hear much about spontaneous human combustion anymore. And that's a good point.
That's true.
What
That's
happened to that?
what happened to spontaneous human combustion? Is it because fewer people are smoking? Isn't that why you combust? You
It
fall asleep with a
probably
cigarette?
is. That probably actually has a lot to do with it. Mystery solved.
I feel like I've watched a documentary or two on human
And it just
spontaneous
turns out
human
is people
combustion.
who fell asleep
It was
sleeping.
on Mythbusters, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
How many times on this podcast do I say, wasn't that on Mythbusters? I feel like I say that every episode, but I'm pretty sure spontaneous human combustion was, and they just determined it was people falling asleep with a cigarette.
Oh. Huh.
Because
That
your
makes-
body is actually full of fat. You're basically a giant candle. So, whereas furniture is meant to be flame resistant. Like you don't necessarily make furniture that is combustible because you don't want people's houses to burn down. So if you fall asleep with a little cigarette, I think you could basically just go up like a torch.
That episode of the X-Files so much more boring to. Oh, actually, those people just fell asleep smoking.
That is exciting, though. Something about spontaneous human combustion is really.
I mean,
exciting.
even just the idea that you can just be walking along and burst into fire any moment. Wow. Well, as usual, this podcast has been a journey. It's taken us a lot of places. Some you might have seen coming, some maybe a little unexpected. Hopefully we've enriched your lives and maybe taught you something about spontaneous human combustion.
I don't actually know if anything I just said was true.
Oh, it's facts. Write it
I should
down.
just put a caveat there. I'm not a spontaneous human combustion expert. I just make shit up based on things I think I might have saw on Mythbusters once.
I don't think we've claimed to be an expert on anything, not
That's
even
true.
unsolved mysteries.
It's true. We specifically state we're not an expert on this thing we do a podcast about.
So I think we're covered, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Right? Okay.
We're good.
That draws us to a close.
All right, we better plug our shit.
As I'm just once again going to tell you to join our Facebook groups. I think I've mentioned that about 5 times. We have a main one. We have one for Animal Crossing. We have one for books.
Check it out.
We are also on Twitter and Instagram. You could follow my personal Instagram, everybody likes Liz, so you can see my art and stuff.
Which you absolutely should. If you have some extra dollars, you can send them to us through Patreon, and you'll get instant access to 40 additional bonus episodes.
What?
And another one each month. And that's the lowest tier. $1 gets you that.
It's a
It's
measly
pretty good
$1.
deal.
If you have $5 burning a hole in your pocket, you could get almost that many coloring sheets. Like a lot of coloring sheets. Way more than you'll ever color.
If you've colored our coloring sheets, you should tag us.
Oh, I want to see
on social
them.
Media. I want to
Yes,
see you color
please.
those Japanese Kit Kats.
Yes, those are so cute.
So cute.
Yeah, and our website is perhapsitsyou.com. There's our contact info. There's blah, blah, blah. You can send us your paranormal stories at perhapsitsyou.podcast@gmail.com.
If you saw a ghost on a bus, you better write to us and tell us about it.
I want to know. I really do. Or if you saw a ghost using a razor flip phone. Or what is something else?
Make sure you slam that subscribe button.
Oh, do us a solid. Slam it so hard.
And remember, we only accept 5-star reviews.
And please end them holy F. Wow, these things are getting, that we say at the end, are getting longer and longer. Wow.
Does anyone stick around for this part?
I have no idea. I'm trying to think of other things that seem like too modern for a ghost to be doing, but they're like...
They're on TikTok.
There's this whole part of TikTok we can't see, ghost TikTok.
Ghost talk?
Yeah. They're like scrolling through. You're like, I didn't watch any of these shows on Netflix, and it was because actually a ghost sits on your couch while you're at work.
You think a modern ghost makes memes?
Probably. It's like, when you're trying to float through a wall and this happens, and then all the ghosts are like, oh, that's me. So true. I hate that. Just a ghost sitting at a computer using paint. Like, oh, yeah, this meme. It's really going to hit the spot with so many ghosts. You know what? That's the end. That's really the end. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Keep barking.